Many of you out there might already be aware that there was a pretty substantial conversation last night on the Gun Collective. They brought together quite a few big members of the gun community, along with some people I've never heard of, to discuss the issues that are facing the gun community right now, the really heavy-hitting issues. Now, that was the pretense of the conversation, but it actually just turned into a roundtable circle jerk and a cuck-filled love fest of how to stroke the NRA off and give them more money. And that was disappointing. So because of that, today's video is not going to be very nice. It's not going to be very friendly. I'm not going to be the usual bundle of fluffiness, lollipops, and sunshine that I usually am. So if you're someone that's of a more sensitive nature, or if you've got pregnant women, people with a heart condition, or children in the room, you might want to get them out now, because I'm not going to be nice in this next video, this upcoming discussion we're about to have. Or actually a speech I'm about to make, because you're not talking back to me. So go ahead and get them out of the room. Get them out of the room now. We'll wait a second. I figure how long could it take to get someone out of a room? Depending on how fat they are. You might have to get them out of a chair. But I'd say that's probably enough time right now. Because most people left the room as soon as my video started. So that's plenty of time. Well, I want to start off this video now that everyone of a more sensitive nature is out of the room by making a statement which I will then clarify as I go along in this video. And that statement is, fuck the NRA, fuck the Gun Collective, fuck Iraqveteran8888, and for a different reason, mainly because I, along with lots of other people in the gun community now, are probably willing to seriously consider having Tim from Military Arms Channel's baby, fuck Mac. So what do I mean by all this fuckery that I'm talking about here? Well, simple. Fuck the NRA. The NRA is no longer on our side. They haven't been on our side for a long time. The NRA makes most of their money from gun companies. We like gun companies. We like to buy their product. But let's face it, what's good for gun companies isn't what's good for our rights. Because what's good for gun companies? A tax on our rights. Because that shoots their sales through the ceiling. They got used to those huge profits they were making under Obama and when Hillary Clinton was supposedly going to be president. And now that those attacks weren't present anymore, they're like, we're going to have to create them from our side so that we can have these massive sales still. And the NRA is completely beholden to the gun manufacturers. In fact, that's most of their income now. It's no longer me and you supporting the NRA. Our money just goes to pad benefits and bonuses, etc. So they no longer serve us. They haven't served us for a long time. Let's remember that the vast majority of the NRA's history, they haven't been pro-gun owner. That wasn't until the late 70s. I was like in junior high school when they finally became pro-gun, when they were forced to become pro-gun for the average person. And that didn't last very long. As soon as it hit the 1980s, they kind of slid back into their old form of, hey, we make more money when we create controversy. We make more money by giving away a right and then fundraising on getting it back. And that's what they've continued to do ever since then. They've actually gotten more and more into it. So they are not really a big pro-gun voice. A lot of people think they are. All they do is make big photo ops with politicians and they go, hey, let's make a bill just dangerous enough to prop up sales. Instead of saying, let's not make any bill at all or keep your hands off the Second Amendment, they're like, let's do it in a way that people lose some rights, but just enough rights that they get scared and they give us more money and buy more guns. And that's not helping anybody. Now, I know a lot of people are like, well, yeah, but now's the time we should be unified, not being broken apart. That's bullshit. Anyone that's had any military experience whatsoever, and I would assume anyone that has the word vet in their title should have that, they should know how ridiculous that is right now, and they should know how important it is to do absolutely the opposite. You have to say, if there's someone in our ranks that is on the payroll of the enemy, we have to get rid of them. If there's someone in our ranks that's constantly radioing our position to the opposite side for a paycheck, you get rid of them. You're not stronger with them. You're being damaged by them. You're being undercut by them. You get rid of them. The NRA is that person. They are sympathetic with the enemy. They are taking money from the enemy. So we do not need them. We do not need to unify under them. Unifying under the flag of a traitor or the leadership of a traitor is suicide. Inviting the jackals to sleep with the sheep just for the false appearance of peace, that's not being inclusive, that's being foolish. The NRA and Wayne LaPierre do not deserve our support now in any form or fashion. But was that discussed on the roundtable last night? Not really. Only one person came forward and said that they would not support the NRA anymore and stood up for rights and non-infringement, and that was Tim from Military Arms Channel. And that's why everyone's in love with Tim right now, because he was the only voice on that panel that stood up. As far as Iraqi veteran goes, he said one or two platitudes towards the Second Amendment, but never once actually stood up about what's going on right now or actually took a stance against anything negative. His little buddy, I don't know what his name is, I think it's Chad, he actually said, well, we're okay with them taking away some things if it's something that doesn't matter to us, is based on paraphrasing there. But that's basically what he said. I mean, well, I don't know why the pretty ones are always so stupid, but that's what he said. Iraqi veteran did kind of shut him down a little bit there for a while, like, oh, we don't say that out loud. So I kind of, because I can't believe they've never discussed that privately. So I'm really disappointed in Iraqi veteran. And now he tried to make it sound like I'm not beholden at all to the gun community. I don't take a dime from the NRA or anything. Bullshit. You make a lot of money from the gun community. You're making a lot of money. And I know the status quo is good for you. In fact, someone on the panel last night actually went as far as to say, well, I don't care how rights are doing and blah, blah, blah. You know, I'm paraphrasing once again. What matters to me is how my shop's doing and how your shop's doing and how your shop's doing. You know, to him, sales and money coming in was the most important part of the Second Amendment. I can't remember which one said that. It was pretty gross, but pissed me off. Like I said, I don't know most of them, so I can't remember who said what. But Iraqi veteran very much towed the line of someone that is very financially tied to the gun community, didn't want to make any waves, and didn't want to stand up for what's right because it might hurt his bottom line. And that was disappointing. And he even let his little boy step up and say something totally anti-gun. So, like I said, fuck Iraqveteran8888. I guess there's 4 8s on that. Not watching his stuff anymore. Just, fuck him. Until he chums out and actually changes his opinion or actually makes a statement worth hearing, fuck him. Same thing with the Gun Collective. The Gun Collective spent that whole night pumping up the industry, talking about what's basically good for the industry, what's good for the NRA, basically what's good for business. That chat wasn't about discussing issues for us as citizens and the attacks that are going on the Second Amendment. It was about doing what's good for business and trying rallying everybody behind what's good for business. The Second Amendment is not a business. There is a business tied to it, but the Second Amendment itself is a constitutional right, and it should not be treated as a business. So, fuck the Gun Collective for that. For giving so much time to people like, I don't know who that guy in the blue sweatshirt was. I think his name was Clint. But this guy, for one, he seemed like he had to medicate himself to spew the garbage he was spewing with a straight face. He droned on endlessly about just, blah, you know, blah, I love Wayne LaPierre. Blah, he's my best friend. He even went as far as to say Wayne LaPierre could be the CEO of any company he wanted, making a lot more money. And I'm like, really? He's got no fucking experience at anything. He's never been anything other than a political hack. He's been a lobbyist and a political hack his whole life. That's all he's ever done. So what makes you think he could be a CEO of any company he wants to, you cocksucking moron? And I'm not saying cocksucking is in anybody sucks cock's a bad guy. I'm just saying he's sucking Wayne LaPierre's cock, and I think that's bad because no one wants to suck Wayne LaPierre's cock except for this guy. So I'm not saying that in a homophobic way. I'm just saying it in a descriptive way. So, fuck that guy completely. And fuck the Gun Collective for letting him have such a voice. And for giving such a voice to that Adam Kuck guy. I'm not really sure who he is. And he spells his last name weird. He spells it Kraut, but it's obviously pronounced Kuck. Because his whole take on the thing was, you got a problem with the NRA? Join them! You know, join them, give them more money. Everyone should join them. And then elect me to the board. I'd like to make a paycheck, blah, blah, blah. You know, just garbage. I'd like to be able to control the industry and make a lot of money. And I'll change everything. That one position on the board will change everything. The board of directors is a fucking circus. It doesn't mean anything for the way the NRA is run. Luckily, Tim from Military Arms Channel pointed that out. But that was just a bunch of garbage that guy was spewing. Just garbage. I mean, talk about having traitors in your midst trying to spread traitors with you, trying to spread garbage in your midst is what I was trying to say. So giving him that much time, I know he's part of your little group and he helps you make money and blah, 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 but that was the biggest load of bullshit I had ever seen on a supposedly pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment chat. That was garbage. For one, the elections in NRA, they aren't even, certifiable. They aren't even audited. They aren't even beholden to anything. So that whole idea that you're going to change things by voting more, that's garbage. And Tim did point that out, so good to Tim. But still, fuck the gun collective. And fuck them for banning me. And then fucking them for banning me for asking tough questions and saying, oh, you used a swear word in your chat, and YouTube doesn't allow swear words in your chat. That's bullshit. There is no rule against common swear words in the chat portion of a video. You can't say them on video if you have certain streaming rights, but they're in the chat. There's no rule against that, so that's bullshit. You banned me and you banned everybody else asking tough questions, and then after you've banned everyone, they're like, oh, we're so glad we could be so inclusive and have every voice, and now that we've banned everyone with a dissenting voice, let's take questions from the audience. That was so insincere and so hypocritical. Made me sick to my stomach. But, so fuck the gun collective. Fuck them. I'm not saying fuck them as a person or people, just what they did last night. Fuck them for that. But fuck all of them. And like I say, that's how I feel. That panel last night, I was just getting, there were only a few on there. Mr. Guns and Gear tried to make some good points, but he was clearly overwhelmed by the people on there. He wasn't feeling like he could step up and be the big voice. There was one guy on there, I forget his name. He was from 1776 United. He tried to stand up and say some things, but he clearly wasn't a public speaker and wasn't used to this type of forum where he was literally being held down by the moderator. The moderator was clearly supporting the big business agenda of the Second Amendment and not really giving time or credence to anything anyone else said. So those guys tried, but most of them didn't even try. One of them even went as far as to say, when I got into the gun industry, I wasn't wanting blood money, as if blood money now is what the gun industry is. And without the NRA guidance, it'll be blood money. So just fuck all of them. Fuck them. Fuck every one of them that I mentioned right here. Like I said, some of them should have stood up more, but I can't fault them really for not standing up more when they're not as big a name, they're not as big a voice, they're not as big a personality. But people like Iraqi Veteran, you didn't stand up for a very different reason, so fuck you. The gun collective, you know what you were doing, so fuck you. The NRA, fuck them. Always. I've never been a fan of them in the last 20 years from what they've been doing. I liked them back in the 70s and the early 80s, but now, no. Since Wayne LaPierre's been in charge, they are just a money-making machine. And that's all they care about. Let's give away rights and then fundraise off of them. I can't say that enough. So, fuck the NRA. And like I said, in a totally different way, I think a lot of people out there right now are willing to fuck Tim because he's the only person that actually stood up and said what needed to be said. He was a non-compromise voice in a room full of nothing but compromise and selling out. So kudos to Tim from Military Arms Channel, and I'll forgive some of the people on there that didn't stand up because, and the one guy on there, the bald, kind of fat, bald guy with no beard, the gun community can only have one bald guy that doesn't have a beard, and that position's already being held by Mr. Guns and Gear. So either grow a fucking beard or get a wig or just go away. But that's just the rules. I didn't make them. I'm just here to point them out. So, fuck all the people I said to fuck. I will not change my position. I will not fall down to this false notion that we have to be inclusive now because you don't include people that are actively working against you, like the NRA and these industry cucks who just want to pump up the bottom line, want to pump up sales, even if it means giving away constitutional rights and giving away freedoms. As long as it puts money in their bank account, they're okay with it. Which is one of the reasons I don't take sponsorship. It's why I don't make deals with people. It's why I don't hold big, like shooting events so that I can get sponsorship and money. I don't do that because I don't want to be part of that industry. Don't want to be it at all. And I'm glad to see Tim, who actually is part of the industry, can still somehow have a conscience and say what needs to be said. So I'm just going to end it right there because I think I can't say fuck anymore. I've said fuck too many times today. So I'm just fucked out. Like I said, unless Tim shows up. But I'm just going to leave you with this. Remember what I said earlier on. You don't unify with traitors. That's just the worst thing you can do. That's self-destruction. And you don't seek peace if it means surrendering your freedom, which is what laying down with the NRA, in my opinion, means these days. So stand up, say what needs to be said, and fuck the cucks.